if you go back to our history even, it's very difficult to say South Asia at that time. It was the old India. I mean, the subcontinent was British India. Like, so for me, Lahore or Dhaka don't feature as prominently as sort of foreign spaces. They feature as part of my history, because in the literature one reads, history one has grown with. Now tell me, I'm a Buddhist scholar of Buddhism and I read about Gandhara, okay? And so much of my Buddhism is located in Gandhara. I don't see this as Pakistan. People might claim it, but it was the subcontinent was actually the old South Asia, and the South Asia is the old subcontinent. So that's how I see it.
I think the first time I realized that I am a South Asian was in 2016 when I got selected for the Sangat course. The first time I realized that I belong to something more than beyond my national border. And there's an identity called the South Asian identity. And I remember that when I went and I spoke to my mother about it, I was like, Mama, I went as a Pakistani, but somehow I feel I came back as a South Asian.
I remember a conversation with Sunila, and she was like, if you really want to know this country, you need to leave Colombo. You need to leave the capital city. You need to go and live somewhere else. That's the only way you'll understand why things are happening, what is happening, and you'll really kind of know this country, language, cultures, the conflict. And I chose to go to Batticaloa in the east. I don't fit in any box. I don't fit in the Tamil box. I don't fit in the Sinhala box. I am not from there. I am an outsider. So nobody could figure me out. So it's always then risky, right? Then because you're suspect to all sides. What are you doing there? Who are you? Kind of. But because it was this collective feminist space, there was a way of protecting each other and protecting me, where I never felt that I was in danger.
To me, border is just a line that separates two countries, right? Line means control. Men control women. State controls bodies so that the bodies cannot travel. What about souls, spirits? Do they control that? And to me, feminism talks about spirits, souls, connections, love, solidarity, and resistance.
Acts of feminism isn't just in the very brave stories or that daily resistance is what we often don't see. So to create visibility around some of these things, and just also to bring attention to sort of relationships, let's say, and relationships within kinship networks, but relationships outside kinship networks. How is intentional solidarity building possible across issues, across generations? How can feminists be more supportive of the Dalit movement? How can people who are working in more sort of indigenous knowledge production work with more women who are working in more feminist spaces?
The younger generation are reconnecting with the indigenous identity, which didn't happen when I was in my 20s. We were very much focused on putting ourselves as the high standard of as a Bengali nation. Our dress were Bengalinized. We were my accent. That's why I'm being called that. I don't speak like indigenous person, because I was taught that this is how you become civilized. So I was sort of moving away from my indigenous identity and trying to polish myself more to fit into the mainstream community. But if you look into now, like the younger generation who are in their 20s or teenager, they are really reconnecting with their indigenous identity. And they are very, very politically aware. That the political awareness was missing for a very long time in Bangladesh, which is not missing nowadays. I think that's really inspiring for me.
Why is it so important to have open borders? Why is it important to share ideas, to share strategies, to talk about the regional politics? And I feel like with everything that's happening now in South Asia, with the authoritarian rise of right-wing authoritarianism, majoritarianism, I feel there's a lot that we could tell each other, share with each other, learn, and maybe resist. And I feel like one of the very big issues that we're not able to move forward is because we're not talking to each other like we should be. Because there's so much power in regional collectives, and we see it happening in Latin America, for example. One movement picks up and it goes across, like it becomes transnational, and I feel like that is something that our region desperately needs right now. It's not a choice we have that to do it or to not do it. I feel like it's essential to our survival at this time.
हम जबर का निजाम गिराने वाले हैं, हम एक नया समाज बनाने वाले हैं, हम पिदर शाही राज गिराने वाले हैं, हम एक नया समाज बनाने वाले हैं, हम इनकलाब